Okay, I'm going to try winding this core because I miss it. Somebody convinced me to chop it up and rebuild it. No names mentioned. Guitar Zen. So I'm going to be referring to this sheet, which I don't need to, because you make a tap every 3 turns, starting with number 6. You wouldn't. We're using 3-turn primary, so we wouldn't put a tap at 3 turns, because cranking the formula, you'd see that you've accomplished nothing. You'd have a 1-to-1 transformer minus the loss. And it's not like you'd even be converting balanced to unbalanced. You won't. You'd accomplish nothing but wasting power. So we start at turn number 6, and that'll be a 4-to-1 tap. So start at turn 6, and we make a tap every 3 turns until we've reached 27 turns. So I'm going to get rid of this sheet. And we'll see. This wire is very tough, the insulation, so I'm going to have to struggle a little and hopefully not knock this camera silly in the process. I'm going to get things out of the way here. This real small red hookup wire, it's stranded. Man, I'd love to know what the breakdown voltage of that insulation is, because that's basically what I used for that blue core out in the other room, in my radio room, which is this, an FT12043. That one out there with the blue wire on it that I call Little Schmo, I want to rebuild him, because that was my very first one, and I passed the wire through the core like you see a lot of people do when winding a ballon, and I don't like that for one reason. When I'm done with my toroid, I don't want the Z ratios to go 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. I don't want them to do that. I want it to go linearly around. More importantly, my highest Z ratio tap will end up next to the ground, because I will be winding it in this fashion so that I can connect a B and C connector in that fashion with the ground on the side. Okay? So, get rid of those. These are the 4 color wires I'm going to be using. I don't have too much of the black and white and blue, but I've got enough. I just kind of got in the habit of alternating colors for no particular reason. It's pretty. So I have no idea if I'm working too close to the camera or too far away, but give it a shot and see what happens, man. So I've stripped about 1.5 inches of insulation off of this wire, and I'm going to start winding my primary. Now, some people, when they wind ballons, boy, is this weird working behind a camera. Some people, when they wind ballons, they like to twist the primary and secondary turns together. I will not do that. First of all, it'd be pointless. Second of all, it'd be worse than pointless. You're introducing capacitive coupling between the primary and secondary turns for nothing, for no reason. There's no point in doing that. Wires are twisted to maintain an to maintain a balanced condition. Nowhere in this transformer, it's technically an auto transformer, nowhere in this transformer is there a balanced condition. Therefore, why would you want to maintain some type of balance that doesn't exist between primary and secondary? Anyway, I'm going to shut up and get to winding. So what I like to do is I like to pull it up. It doesn't have to be tight, you know what I mean? It's got to be as tight as you want it pretty. But another thing people do is they like to wind the primary and secondary together. When the way I build my UNUNs, whoops, there we go. There is no point. I've got to get in the habit of looking at the camera periodically, or this will not turn out. What was I saying? Oh, people like to sometimes wind the primary and secondary at the same time together. I see no point. So you'll see the number of turns is the number of passes through the middle. 3 turns. We've got our 3-turn primary. And what I like to do is, I like to, in a core like that, I like to grab the wire about there, bend it up at a nice angle, turn it around, do the same again, like that. There is our primary, okay? Now I'm actually going to cut that a little shorter. Okay, there's our primary. Now if I hold it like that, remember, the wire on the right is going to be ground. Okay? So I'm going this way. And here's where we're going to make our connection for our secondary. Well, I'm sorry, that's not true. We're going to attach our secondary wire here and mimic the primary winding. So I'm going to pause this just for a second. Actually, no, I'm not, because I've got a piece of blue wire right here. This is going to be, you'll see. You'll see. Already screwing up. You want them over here. I'm already screwing up again. We want to follow the primary. So what I'm going to do, cut that off. I need a zip tie. I'm going to pause this. Okay, so I put a zip tie on there to hold those two together. And so you can see, that's a good view. What I'm going to do is just continue around with the secondary winding. And we got to go one more. I have a feeling this whole time this thing has been out of view. Okay. Now I'm going to cut that. Okay, hang on. Okay, so you'll see that I've added the blue winding and mimicked the white primary one. Remember, the white is the primary, that's the input. Okay, that's the 50 ohm input right there. We're done with that one for the time being. So that I don't screw myself up, I cut it off. Okay, and so what we're going to do, I'm going to pause this again for a minute. Well, actually, what I'm going to do before I pause it is, so we're done with that white primary turn for now. I want to strip this. And man, this stuff is some serious insulation, man. This stuff's a drag. Ugh. Okay, like that. And what I'm going to do, what I sometimes will do at this point, is put a zip tie around just to hold this white primary one out of the way, but we can also just wrap it around like that. There. Now he's not going to move anywhere. Okay? So now, okay, 3 turns of white, 3 turns of blue. We need to add 3 more turns, and that'll be our first tap. one moment. You know what, man? I had to laugh. I already screwed up because I'm nervous. Yeah, I just got done saying that it would be doing nothing to put a 3-turn secondary on, and I proceeded to do just that. So hang on. So I took the blue wire off. Okay, back yourself up to where we just had the 3 white primary turns. And now we're adding the secondary, okay? This black one is our secondary. I'm going to pause this to put a zip tie on there. Hang on. Okay, you know why I did that, man? Because I'm stupid, that's why. So I put a zip tie on there to hold the 2. Those are going to be the 2 ground ones, right? And I am now going to follow the white wire. And if this wire is too short to get 6 turns on here, man, I'm going to be pissed. Don't screw up. Count the turns. Are there 3 black turns through the middle of the core? I say yay. There are. That's turn 3. I'm going to get our primary input, our input out of the way again. Okay, folks. 3 turns. 4. I'm going to try to tighten that up a little. If you just put your thumb on it, man, it'll tighten it up a lot. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ugh. This wire's bad enough to work with, man, and it's not very thick. Okay, 6 turns. I'm going to pause this and count them. Hang on. Yep, 6 turns. Okay, so that will be our first tap, and that will be our 4-to-1 tap. So what I like to do, I've done it different ways in the past. In the past, I just have a big, huge piece of wire, and I just bend it over on itself and carry on, and then after I'm done, clip it. Nah, it's just easier to do it this way. Cut that off. Strip him. If possible. This stuff's tough, man. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay. And now we're going to connect to that with another piece of wire and carry on, and that'll form our first tap. Hang on. Okay. Man, this could be the ugliest UNUN I've ever wound. Okay, so I stripped another piece of wire, and I need to go like that. So I'm going to pass that through there. And actually what you can do if you want, just twist them like this, man, it's easier. That'll get soldered. I've heard people talk about, the high circulating currents. Yeah, high circulating currents, what, 150 milliamps? Of course, I'm a QRP'er. Okay. So that formed our first tap, right? And now we need to make 3 more turns through the core. And see, I've already made 1, right? 1, 2. Well, that's sloppy. This isn't going to be a very pretty UNUN, but you know what, man? The ugly ones work the best. That's wrong. But they do. Okay, count the turns. Do I have 3 more turns using white? I do. That'll form. So we're going to stop there. We'll bend that up. Cut him off. Might as well strip him. This wire insulation, by the way, it seems to be like in between two of these sizes on these cutters. That one doesn't get it, but if you go down another, it wants to bite in. That'll work. So I'm going to pause this, grab a piece of brown. All right, straighten things up a little bit here. So I stripped a piece of brown wire, and now I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to twist them together. You know, when you're doing this, this is all new to me, recording this. It's really kind of tricky. You need to kind of pay attention to both. What's in front of your face and what's in front of your camera. Yeah, that didn't work out too good. That's ugly. God, is that ugly. Oh well, whatever. So, we're going to make 3 more turns, okay? When you get this thing wound, you can pretty it up a little bit, you know? It's like a newborn baby when it first pops out. Freaking nasty looking. But you love it with all your heart. Just like your UNUN. Or should we call it by the new name? Your new UNUN. You will love your new UNUN with all your heart. Okay, so recap. 3 turns for primary, those white ones. We made 6 turns and made our first secondary tap. 6 turns divided by 3 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 to 1. We went 3 more turns. See, that's what's ugly. One's up here, one's down here. But you can even fix that all up. Anyway, so we went 3 more turns. That was 9 turns. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Squared is 9. 4 to 1, 9 to 1. Okay? We went 3 more turns. And now we're going to make another tap. Okay, I'm going to pause this. Okay, I found a piece of that piece of blue wire that I screwed up with and ended up having to take off. So we're going to wrap that one on there. I have a feeling all this I'm doing here today is going to be way too close and just too in your face. If I think so, when I'm done, I'm deleting it. Like I did the last one. Okay, let me cut these nasties off of here. Okay, so, God, I hope I have enough wire for 3 turns. Okay. So we have 4 to 1, 9 to 1. Hang on. Yeah, okay. I had a moment of self-doubt. 4 to 1, 9 to 1, 16 to 1. Now we're going to go 3 more turns with this color. I do like to alternate colors. I don't care if I have to go back and forth between 2 colors. I don't know why. Oof. Yikes, that's close. I'm running out of this wire. I'm going to have to figure out exactly what the stuff is and buy some. You know what, one thing you can do, I've done in the past, I'm not right now, but I have in the past, I'd eyeball that wire and say, well, I'm going to make the bend right there, make the bend there, I want a little bit of insulation, I'll start the stripping there, you know. I've done that in the end, but in the end, man, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And if you want to make things nice, you'll make nice, tight, hard, right angle turns, like, you know, as opposed, you can make that as opposed to that. Fine example I'm showing here. But I'm going to grab another piece of wire. I guess I'm going to have to go back to brown since that's all I have. It's either that or go to stranded hookup wire, and that's fine too. I'll make a hybrid. UNUN hybrid. So 4, 9, 16, when I connect my other piece of wire to that, that'll make the 25-to-1 tap. Hang on. Okay. Another thing I don't know, I've got like lights all over the place, and it's almost like with this camera, the more light you have, the worse. And so until this thing is done, I have no idea what it's going to look like. So we need to make 3 passes through. 1. Man, I don't know why, but it sure feels like this core is filling up fast, man. That's 1. Two turns of the brown through the core. 1 more. Okay. Four, 9, 16, 25. This will be the 36-to-1 tap. 1 moment. Alrighty. I found a piece of black wire to use for this next 3 turns. We'll twist it on. In the past, I've also sometimes soldered them as I've gone along. Other times I don't. Today I chose not to, because there's not too much for you to be gained from watching me solder. Okay, so this is our 36-to-1 tap. And now we'll be forming the next one. 3 more turns will make 21 turns, and that'll be the 49-to-1 tap. And I'm already running out of room. And so, man, I need to scooch things together, but let's get 3 turns on. And then I'm going to pause this and scooch it all down, scrunch it together. See what kind of room we can get. This wire feels a lot thicker than what I took off of there. Yeah, see, there's 3 more turns and we've about filled the core. And that's a 49-to-1 Z winding. I need to think about what I'm going to do with this, because there's no way I'm living with 49-to-1. I wanted to get 64-to-1, 3 more turns on here, which would make 64-to-1 tap. And if I can do that, then I'll just do my thing. I've mentioned it before. The last 3 turns, I'll just pile them on at the end. hang on, I'm going to pause this and see how much I can cram this thing together. Okay, good news and bad. Well, there is no good news. The bad news is this wire has to be thicker than what I had on this core. So what I think I'm going to do, I'll point the camera up and show you in a minute when I'm done with this. But I think I'm going to finish doing this just to show you and then play with it for a couple of days. And then I'm going to rewind it with some thinner stranded hookup wire, which I've used in the past. And I've never had a problem with it at the 100-watt level. So let me show you what I did. I was hoping not to have to do this until the final winding, right? I thought for sure I could get at least 24 turns on here, but this is 21 right here. So what I did was I pulled these turns off and just wound them over top of the other one just to move everything over. So anyway, this will work for demonstration purposes. Not only that, it'll work good for DX purposes too. This UNUN's going to work fantastic is what it's going to do. But having said that, I've got to have my 81-to-1 winding. I won't live without it. And if I could have got my 64-to-1 winding on here, then I would have just slapped another 3 turns over top of the last 3 and called it an 81-to-1 winding. It's what I do. I've had no problem doing it. So there's 3 more turns. Okay. And for tonight, I'm going to call that good. I'm going to call that the end for tonight and for this particular UNUN. Oh, come off of there. Oh my God, that stuff is strong, man. Wicked insulation, you know? So, at that point, that's your final tap. Start tidying it up a little. And what I'd like to do is to put a zip tie here, because this is your 50 ohm input. I like to put a zip tie here to secure your common, the 2 common, the ground connection. And that's your UNUN. I'm going to solder it. Hang on. Isn't she pretty? Now I'm going to slap a couple zip ties on there. Hang on. Okay. I put a couple zip ties to hold our ground connection secure so it doesn't, unwind. Put another zip tie here, this black one, to hold the 50 ohm input winding in place. Okay. I put a zip tie here to kind of secure the last tap, which isn't really a tap, it's the end of a wire. Soldered the, so now I'm ready to stick my BNC connector on. So unfortunately, with this UNUN, and I did notice that this white wire particularly is way thicker than what I had on there before. And the blue is considerably thicker too. The brown is pretty close. So I'm going to play with this UNUN for a couple days, have a little fun with it. And if I really want my 81-to-1 tap, oh wait, I don't even have a 64. What do I have? 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64-to-1. So I do have my 64-to-1 tap. And like I've showed you before, I don't know if you've seen, I think I showed this, but you could just wrap a piece of wire around there and make a few quick impromptu passes through the core, and boom, there you go. You got another tap. And it doesn't have to be 3 more passes. I can wrap a wire onto here, and see how you've got 3 turns? I can wrap a wire under there, make 1 turn through the core, and there you've got an intermediary, or 2 turns, and you've got a little bit more. You can make intermediary impedance taps on any balun or unun if you can gain access to the wire, you know. So let me solder this onto the BNC connector. Hang on. When I'm building an unun or doing any kind of work with this kind of wire, the last thing in the world I use is a soldering pencil. There's nothing like an old school Weller or other brand soldering gun. And now, if I can find my shunt cap, this thing will be done. Hang on. So check it out. Is that not beautiful? That's beautiful. You know what, man? This unun here can handle some power. I was shocked. I think there's a big misconception out there, man. I can't speak for what others are doing with their 49-to-1 ununs and their antennas with loading elements on them. Who knows? But all I know is this thing here, you can put 100 watts to, you could lay a brick on the key all day long, and yeah, it'll get a little warm. Not even bathwater warm. But you know what's messed up, man? Nowhere to be found is my shunt cap. It's gone. It's gone. So I guess for one unun to be born, you know what they say, man, another must die. Come here, you. Come here, you. Little schmo. You're out of here. We're going to rewind him, though. I'm going to put this guy on a unun. There we go. The birth of an unun. The birth of a